Hey.
Hey, how's it going?
Oh, it's going. Hey, happy President's Day.
Oh yes, salute to the presidents.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes. I have boys at home and not shaving because it's a holiday and long weekend and
Is that part of the holiday? Not shaving. I
heck
guess.
yeah. I think every guy can agree to that.
I like that.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, that's gotta be part of my thing too. In solidarity, I will also not shave. Yes. Hey, so yeah, it's President's Day, but what's tomorrow?
Tomorrow is a deadline. In fact, I'm gonna get on the ball here. I'm gonna hide that sucker and I'm gonna show that sucker.
There you go.
We have a don't be late deadline tomorrow.
Yes.
It'll be our second to last deadline for features, shorts, music videos, but it is our final deadline for scripts.
Yes,
that's a big
short
one.
screenplays. Yeah, they take longer to read.
They do.
And we get so many of them that we have to set that deadline a little bit earlier than everything else. So yeah, if you have a short screenplay under 30 pages that you want to consider for the festival, please send that to us by tomorrow.
Yep, Film Freeway.
Through Film Freeway. There we go. At Waco Indie. And the thing with our screenplay contest is that we also offer a grant too. So if you are a winner for a screenplay contest, you have the opportunity to win up to $5,000? Yeah, up to $5,000 in support of your film, and that includes a camera package, consultation, hotel rooms, and a rebate of over $2,500 to make your film in Waco. Because we are very film friendly here. We want to bring those productions here. So if you have a short film, a short script that you want to have made, submit it to our festival.
Yeah, and that grant has already been well used once and is in the process of getting used a second time.
Exactly. We're super excited about that upcoming production there.
Yeah.
So that's what's going on. But hey, in addition to the festival that's coming up, and mark your calendars for that. That's going to be in July 18th through 21. We have something that's happening even before then, and that's the Waco Block Party.
Yep.
Yeah, that's coming up February 29, March 1 and 2.
Yeah, we are partnering with Rogue Media and Southern Roots Brewing Company and a variety of other organizations. We're just doing a little bit of part of it. The big thing was a big battle of the bands that's going to happen. And we want to be a part of it in the way we can, which is films about music. And that's what today is about, actually.
Exactly, yeah. So we got a couple people backstage that are going to join us. They'll tell us all about the block party and about their films. So what do you say? Let's bring on our first guest.
Sure thing. Get ready, Kaylin. Here you go.
All right. we give a lot of notice. Like, hey, you're on live right now.
Yes.
All right. So we're welcoming in Kaylin Evans from Southern Roots Brewing Company. Welcome.
Hi. Thanks.
Yeah. So Kaylin, tell us about, where Waco Block Party came from.
Yeah, absolutely. So last year, I, alongside Rogue Media and Texas Music Cafe, threw together a battle of the bands. And we had a focus on rock music locally in Waco, just to try and showcase a little bit of a different genre style. And we threw this event together and had such a phenomenal response that we decided we need to expand it. We need to bring more focus on the other amazing, art forms and medias in Waco and in Central Texas. And so Waco Block Party was born. And I mean, Lewis working with us, we're trying to pull podcasts and film and music all within the Central Texas area to showcase what incredible things we've got going on around us.
Yeah.
That's not just you, Kaylin. That's me as well. Lewis, you just went digital. Your whole thing froze. There you go. You're back. Try that again.
I'm going to blame my internet. Shout out to Astound. I don't know what's going on with you, man. You gotta fix that. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. If you tuned into our live stream last month, you heard from Mike with Rogue Media. He kind of talked about the podcasts that are going to be out there. There's going to be a ton. There's going to be a podcast about King of the Hill, the TV show, podcast about home renovations, podcasts about books, all sorts of really cool stuff. So that's fun. And we have music documentaries and local films. We'll talk more about that later. But what I wanted to talk to Kaylin is the music. Tell us more about the music that's going to be at the Waco Block Party.
Yeah, absolutely. So like I was saying last year, we kind of ended up focusing a little bit more on rock music. And this year I wanted to expand out those genres. And so it was open to any, style of music. And we've got 9 incredible bands joining us on the 2nd. We have everything from punk rock to heavy metal to country. So I think it's going to be a really interesting and unique vibe, to say the least. And then we will be finishing out the Battle of the Bands with a headlining performance from a musician named Don Lewis. And he does a little bit of everything as well, which is why I liked him, but he's mostly country. He's recently signed out of a label in Nashville, but he does R&B. He even does hip hop. So I think he's going to be just the perfect addition to kind of finish this out. And the really cool thing with Battle of the Bands this year is not only is there going to be the opportunity for prize money like we did last year, but they will headline and open for Don Lewis for the evening performance. So it'll be really fun. I'm excited.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that idea that we can give them an encore, the winning band, that they'll have an opportunity to play again in front of the headliner. That's pretty sweet. But it's not just Saturday. What's going on the 29th and the 1st?
Yeah, so the 29th, we will have just a little kickoff party at Southern Roots, which is downtown Waco on 8th Street. And we're going to have locals Bill and Phil. If you guys have not been fortunate enough to see them live, they are an absolute blast. They are just so interactive and fun, and they're going to host a music bingo at Southern Roots that evening and just kind of kick off announcements for what's to come for the weekend. And then Friday, I know there is several films and podcasts happening at Texas Music Cafe throughout the day, but we'll finish with a live performance with Golden Colliers Band that evening.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun. If you've only seen Gordon on the TV news, he's got a whole other side to him, and he's a lot of fun live. So that'll be a great thing to have. But in addition to the music, we have other stuff that's happening in front of Southern Roots. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so we are adding a vendor market on Saturday the 2nd, which is going to be something new for us. We just, like I was talking about earlier with the local talent and things in this area, we have so many people that do so many unique crafts. And so we kind of open that up. We're going to have over 40 vendors here starting at 10 a.m. and they'll be running throughout the day as well alongside the music. We've got artisans, we've got people that do designs on hats and leather, and we'll have some live painting and sculpting. So it's going to be a really, really cool addition.
Yeah. And what I love about this is that it's going to be really accessible for everyone, right? What did we agree? It's a free event.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yep, free event.
This is definitely the place to be because you'll be able to experience movies and podcasts, music, crafts, all these things. The vendor market will be selling items, but everything else, very interactive and a lot of fun and free. Now, we love Southern Roots. You guys are fantastic, wonderful sponsors for the Waco Indie Film Fest. We always do a party at Southern Roots because you guys are just like Southern hospitality there. And you guys, obviously, you're a brewing company.
Yes, we are. So we have been around Waco now for 4 years, survived through COVID, which was touch and go there. It was right after we opened. And I think that was the first real experience I had with Waco being such a supportive community. I mean, the amount of outpour we had from people willing to do whatever they could to keep us afloat was phenomenal. And we kind of hit the ground running ever since to try and be as community involved as we could. I will admit I am not the best at showcasing the craft beer side of things. We're going to pretend I am, but that's more of my husband's forte. But I do love the community side. I love what the brewery does. We don't have to be a big craft beer drinker to find something here, to feel welcome. And that was kind of always our push of what we wanted to represent within the community, all ages, family friendly, and to bring to be a space that could bring anybody of any interest together. And that's, I think, perfectly kind of summed up with the Waco Block Party as well.
Well, that's fantastic. And then let me see. If you guys have any questions, you're feel free to send us Facebook, Instagram, whatever. You can post those, and we can ask Kaylin and our guests these questions. So if you have anything, just let us know. But Kaylin, in addition to beer, you guys also do excellent pizzas. So tell us a little bit about that, and then tell us about what other
Tell us a little bit about the beer while Lewis, or the pizzas while Lewis's feed gets better.
Yes, you're good. So like I was saying, we try and be as friendly to all ages as we possibly can. My mother-in-law, who's one of the owners here, is not a beer drinker, and so when we were kind of coming up with the idea for Southern Roots, it's how do we, become something that people will come to that don't just drink craft beer. And so we decided to kind of focus that on pizzas as well. It's easy. Most people like it for that we found, at least. And then we've got everything from traditional pizzas to specialty pizzas where we use seasonings from Meat Church Barbecue. If you guys aren't familiar with them, he's just a super phenomenal guy. And got to incorporate that in a very, very high protein, lots of meat pizza. And we've even got El Diablo pizzas, kind of like a jalapeno popper. So super fun. Like I said, people seem to really respond well to it. And it's another one of those things that I feel like most people like. So it's easy to find something for everybody here.
Yeah. And you guys don't just do, traditional pizza crust and everything. You have variety for people of all kind of different dietary needs and restrictions and everything like that, right?
Yeah. That was one thing we learned quickly as well is, incorporating gluten-free, dairy-free, vegan options, just so, like I said, all people feel included. And it's not something where, you have someone with a dietary restriction that can't feel like they can find something off our menu as well.
Yeah. Definitely. Well, I wish Lewis would come back because I don't remember the last question he wanted to ask you. It was like suspenseful. He cut off like right at that point. So I think he's scrambling right now trying to come in. Are there any final words from you about the upcoming party or anything about what's new with Southern Roots? What's any other events that are happening?
This has honestly been the biggest event we've got coming up, and it's taken a great majority of time and planning and energy, which I feel like anybody, on this committee and can agree that it is, it's an act of love, and it's a lot. There's a lot of moving pieces behind it to keep it going. And we've got, I did want to say we've got some really phenomenal community sponsors that have gone above and beyond to try and help us to deal with a lot of the expenses of creating the event and keeping it free to the public. That was a big thing we all wanted, is how do we make this accessible to the community and people can come out and find something to get involved in, and keeping it free, I think was an important part of that. And without these businesses, we would not have been able to pull it off. So special shout out to them, and they're featured also on our social medias, and please check them out and support them as well, because they're the reason Waco Block Party is also able to be successful. So I'm excited. It's going to be a good event.
Yep. Lewis, you had a question that got cut off because you got ejected. Do you remember that one?
No, I have no previous recollection of anything
that's what happens. So basically, anyone who is interested in Waco Block Party, it is free, but please RSVP. And the way you can RSVP is you can track yourself basically whether through the social media for Waco Block Party, but I think you're going to get to the website itself and put that RSVP in as well. I think.
Yeah. The best way to get information is through the website. But just hit that you're attending the event on Facebook, and that's the best way we know how many people we plan to be out there.
Yeah.
Yes, that's awesome. Very helpful to know.
Definitely.
Great.
Cool.
Awesome.
Right.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me.
All
right. Well, we will see you at the block party.
Yes.
Block party.
Right.
Bye.
Bye. Cool. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry I missed part of that. My internet is just like it's not wanting to work.
It happens.
Yeah.
Modern devices, such as they are.
Yes. Yeah. But we do have other people that want to be involved in the conversation. Yeah. Let's bring in Mike and Kirby.
All right, Mike and Kirby.
There we go.
Hey guys. Wait a second. There we go. Now I feel better.
I feel like the odd man out in this conversation.
One of these things is not like the other.
Exactly.
Yeah, one guy's got on a straw hat, not a felt.
I know. Hey, it's getting towards summertime for me, so it's my summer hat. Although it's a little bright, I'm going to take that off. I'd rather this shine than that shine.
All right. So welcome Kirby and Mike. These guys are the producer directors of two of the documentaries that we're bringing to the Waco Block Party. Yeah. So let's first we'll talk to Kirby first because his film is showing on Friday, March 1st at 6 p.m. at the Texas Music Cafe. Welcome Kirby, the director producer of the Jimmy and Stevie Ray Vaughan Brothers and Blues.
Glad to be here.
Yeah. And then I'll also introduce Mike while he's up there. Mike is the producer director for the Birth and History of Western Swing. That'll be playing on Saturday at 5 p.m. at Texas Music Cafe. And Samuel's very smart to put up their information at the bottom of the screen.
Glad to meet you.
Wow, good to have you guys.
Good
One thing that I was really taken by on both of these films is these seem to be personal stories for you. Like it wasn't like you were hired guns to bring on these films. It feels like both of you guys had a deep attachment to the subjects. Tell us about how these films came along. We'll start with Kirby.
Well, mine came about because it was a personal story. I worked for a magazine called Buddy Magazine back in the 70s. And that magazine was named after Buddy Holly, the first Texas rock and roll star. And it's published by a guy named Stoney Burns, who most people don't know today, but he was, there we go, there's a cover shot there. And it was because it was a Texas music magazine, I was always at concerts or in the clubs, we were writing about that and everything. And so I first became acquainted with Jimmy Vaughan and Stevie Ray Vaughan while working with that publication. And I was just blown away by the way these guys played guitar. And just couldn't believe they weren't already nationally famous because I got to see every act that came through Dallas. I mean, Led Zeppelin, Robin Trower, Eric Clapton, you name it. And I said, these two guys can play anything those guys can play, but they can do it behind their back or behind their neck. I mean, they were just incredible, but they were just playing dumpy little clubs in Texas. They didn't have any national exposure at all. And I was really I couldn't understand it. And finally, they both got signed with major record labels finally, and broke out that way. But I watched their story and just watched how they, came from basically nowhere, a little cracker box house in Oak Cliff, and just really hit it big. And the thing was, even back when they were not really big time, the word had gotten out among musicians. I mean, national musicians, and these guys were something special. And every time I went to a club and saw them playing, there was always somebody famous in the audience there to see them. I mean, there was like Dickie Betts, there was Bob Dylan, there was even a guy named Jaco Pastorius. I don't know if y'all know who he was. He was the bass player for a jazz band called Weather Report, and they had a huge hit called Birdland. He came out to see them. They just all these famous musicians would be in the audience in these clubs, so they were very well respected guitar players. And then I saw them get their national exposure finally, and then right when they were getting ready to go on tour as brothers, they released the album Family Style. They recorded together. Stevie dies in a helicopter crash. And so it just almost all came to an end right there. I mean, Jimmy didn't tour or do anything for 2 years after that. And because I'd personally witnessed the story, I just thought, this is an amazing tale. I've got to tell it. And when you talk about Stevie Ray Vaughan, everybody's got it depends on your viewpoint. I mean, everybody's got a different opinion of him. There's this group of people that in Oak Cliff that grew up with him since elementary school, and he was their hometown hero. I mean, they always loved him, and he was their Oak Cliff boy. And then there's the people in Austin, where Jimmy and Stevie moved to Austin from Oak Cliff, and the people at the Austin bar scene, they became acquainted with him there, and they had a love for them there. And then you had another group of people when the albums broke out that people living on the West Coast, all over the country, suddenly became aware of them. They became fans too. So you've got about 3 different groups that were following them. And then now today, Stevie's been gone for over 30 years. And you've got a whole host of younger people who they know his music. I mean, every concert, every song that Stevie did is on the internet, But I was trying to tell stories behind that music. I mean, because I'd heard all these stories growing up. And so I wanted to get the stories about the stuff that happened, because I'd heard all kinds of wild stuff, and funny stuff too. And so I couldn't bring anything new to music. I purposely tried to avoid making this documentary one long music video. I wanted it to be an oral history. I wanted to
Exactly.
capture the stories that had never been told. And Jimmy had never sat down for an interview with anybody about Stevie since he died. And Eric Clapton had never sat down and talked to anybody about him, or and a lot of people don't know this, but Billy Gibbons of ZZ Top and Jimmy Vaughn have known each other since they were 15 years old,
Wow.
playing bars in Texas. So I was trying to really get an oral history, the stories behind the music, because if I'm just going to play music videos or interviews that are already on the internet, I'm not bringing anything new. I really wanted to bring something new to this and tell people stuff they didn't already know. And I believe we've done that, because every time I've shown this film, I've said to the audience, I said, you're going to hear stuff and see stuff you've never heard before. And most people kind of roll their eyes because there's so many books and documentaries about Stevie already out. But everybody comes up to me after the film and say, I didn't know that. We've always got something in the dead that they didn't know. And that's what I'm trying to do is, tell their story and tell you something you didn't know about them.
Right.
And it doesn't matter if you're a longtime fan of theirs, a baby boomer, or if you're just 19 years old. I think this story will captivate you because I still say it's an amazing tale. Two kids from a cracker box house in Oak Cliff. They went to the very top.
Yeah.
Had all the rock royalty. I mean, David Bowie, Carlos Santana, Eric Clapton, Jackson Brown. I mean, those guys were all their fans.
Yeah,
So
my family moved up to Dallas, and actually to Oak Cliff ourselves, and so that was a big history there. And I've also been at that statue in Austin by the river. Got to see that. So, what surprised you in producing the film?
The first thing that surprised me was how forthcoming Eric Clapton and Jimmy were when we sat down to talk to them. I thought they were going to be kind of guarded because they'd never really done an interview with anybody about this. But I think that enough time has passed where they could talk about it without being emotional. I mean, I think because 30 years had gone by, they were ready to talk. So I was very much surprised with how open they were with us on camera. And then Jackson Brown was one of the better interviews because a lot of people don't know this. Stevie Ray Vaughan recorded his first album, Texas Flood, in Jackson Brown's studio. Jackson Brown gave him that studio time for free. And so Stevie and them drove out to California, recorded it there. And Jackson tells some funny stories about them while they're recording there. I think it always brings a chuckle to the crowd when Brown tells that story. I'm not going to spoil it and tell you what it is, but I guarantee if you're in the audience, you will laugh.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, I also want to include Mike in our conversation here as well. Mike, can you tell us a little bit about how personal this story is for you, the birth and history of Western Swing? Tell us how the movie came about.
Yes. I was born out in West Texas. My early childhood years were there, and all I can remember were my parents, when we were living in Andrews, Texas, they would basically get a babysitter every Saturday night and drive out to Big Spring, Texas, to hear Hoyle Nix and his Texas Cowboys, an old Western swing band that played there in the 50s and 60s. And once a year, Bob Wills, who's really the king of Western swing, would perform there at the Stampede Ballroom. And so that music was constantly played in our home. And then you fast forward, I go through 40 years of the import-export business, totally away from Western swing. Occasionally I listen to it, but when I finally retired and sold my business in 2016, I made a promise to my father to take him to Bob Wills Day in Turkey, Texas. And in that year, the year before he passed, I pushed him around in a wheelchair out on the old Turkey High School football field. And I met the author of the Bob Wills fabulous biography, Dr. Charles Townsend, got him to sign the book. I read the book and learned so much I didn't know about. It all started in Fort Worth, which is today my hometown. And I just immersed myself into reading several books. I also read the Kerry Janelle book on Milton Brown, who's considered the father of Western swing. So I decided to start a festival, and then that was launched. It got delayed because of COVID, but we launched it in 2021. And then about that same time, Ken Burns' documentary came out on country music, and he covered 15 minutes of Bob Wills, but he never hardly talked about Nashville. Country music likes to control everything from Nashville, and it's just, I thought this story needs to be told because it's such a great. It's truly the first form of Americana music where you took this hybrid of all these different genres. Bob Wills and Milton Brown, who met in Fort Worth in 1931, they brought in this country rural fiddle from Bob out in West Texas with Milton's more sophisticated jazz and blues. And they created something that was greater than the both of them. And they put a dance beat to it. It was always about dancing. And they uplifted the folks in the Great Depression, the Dust Bowl of West Texas and Oklahoma. And it spread all over the Southwest in the early 1930s. But it got its start in Fort Worth. And that's why I call it the birth and history of Western swing, because we try to delve into not only where it was born, but what were the early influences that probably inspired Bob and Milton. And so we go into jazz, blues, mariachi, polka, breakdown fiddle, all of these different elements that made it what it is. And it's truly an amalgamation of just wonderful, joyous dance music. And so I decided it'll be easy to make a documentary film, but I found that was not the case. It's much more difficult. I'm a right brain marketing, I'm a left brain creative type, but I was able to get people around me that helped quite a bit, and a real good editor. And we've just finished the final cut. I'm a little behind Kirby. I think Kirby's ahead of me. In fact, Kirby has been helping me a lot. I need to buy him a big steak dinner the next time I see him. Maybe in Waco, I can buy his dinner. So, but anyway, I hope to get through this licensing phase. That's the big thing. It's challenging me now, but I hope to have it, eventually maybe shown on PBS. KERA Dallas has expressed keen interest to be a presenting station to PBS, and then move to the streaming platforms, Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, wherever. So that's the plan. And I've made a few private screenings for fundraising, and everybody that's seen it just love it. It's just the quintessential story of some of the most joyous music ever. And
funny enough, there's a Waco connection there. Not necessarily the best Waco connection, I think, because he had to jet to Oklahoma after that for Bob Wills. But I think our Wacoans will be interested to know that it was a huge thing here.
Yes. Yeah, Waco, he moved from Fort Worth to Waco because Pappy O'Daniel chased him out of Fort Worth. He was the manager of the Light Crust Doughboys, and that's the band that Bob and Milton left to form their own bands. And then Johnny Gimble, who was a Waco resident for many years, he's another key connection to Waco. And his son, Dick Gimble, will be at the screening at the Waco Block Party, and I think he'll be part of our Q&A after the film at the the Texas Music Office or Texas Music
Cafe.
Yeah, that's what's so fun is that we do have these Waco connections here. And I feel like both of your films, what I really love about both of them is that literally is the story of Texas, right? Both these films have such deep Texas roots, but not only do they have these Texas roots, it shows the diversity of Texas. That these films are not just about the blues. It's about more than the blues. It's about more than swing, because this music they don't exist in an island. It gets all put into a gumbo itself, and it has its own unique flavors, each one. So I'm really excited for our audiences to experience these things. So what I'd like you guys to do real quick, because we are running short on time right now. We don't want to spend all day taking up people's Facebook time. Give us one more pitch about what they're going to see while they're here and why it's important for them to be out at your film in 2 weeks. Let's start with Kirby.
Well, mine's already up on several streaming platforms, and it's one thing to stream it at your house, but I still think there's nothing better than being in a large theater with a big screen and a crowd of people and getting all the reactions. Because whenever we screen this film in a theater, we've only done about 7 theatrical screenings, and the rest of it's all been streaming, since it came out. It came out over a year ago. but just to be in the crowd and hear the reactions and everybody, laughing or crying or clapping. There's something about the shared experience of the theater. And I would just urge people to come out and see this thing there in person. And also, I enjoy doing the Q&A afterwards because I like hearing the questions people ask and going from there. But definitely do come out, come out and let's all have a shared experience, and it will be a lot of fun. And hey, it's free.
Exactly. Mike, what do you got?
Well, I would just say, if you love music, if you love Texas history, this is a film to see. It's started in 1931 in a ramshackle dance hall in Fort Worth and grew to be worldwide. It was played from the moon in 1969. Alan Bean, a Fort Worth astronaut, played San Antonio Rose, Bob Wills. It was one of the first songs played from the surface of the moon. And it's now been, in 2011, Governor Perry proclaimed it the official state music of Texas. And this film chronicles the entire history of the genre all the way until today. And we'd love to have you come out to the Texas Music Cafe to see it on Saturday, March 2nd. And I'm going to get there a day early because I want to see Kirby's film on March 1st.
That's fantastic. Well,
I was just going to say, when you stream, you don't get the Q&A. You don't get the experts there to give you some nuggets behind the scenes. So yeah, go ahead.
All right. Well, Kirby and Mike, thank you guys both for joining us here virtually, and thank you for joining us in 2 weeks at the Texas Music Cafe.
Appreciate you having me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okie doke. Well, I'm sold. I'll be there.
Yep. I will be there too.
Sounds
be a
good.
blast.
We'll meet you there, and we'll get some pizza and beer, and then we'll watch some music docs and listen to some live music.
Yep.
It's going to be great. Oh, and we'll have local films as well. Yeah.
Yes, we will.
Yeah, exactly. You'll get Q&As for the local short films. That's going to be at 2 p.m. on Saturday, March 2nd. So yeah, if you're heading out, you'll be able to experience live music, these great music documentaries about Texas music, and then experience some local Waco-made short films. It's going to be a lot of fun, and it's free, right? So free. Why not?
Yep. Yeah. And of course, even more recent than that will be the Don't Be Late deadline tomorrow. Did you like that, Lewis? I came up with that. Like, I kept seeing late deadline. I was like, let's make that a little more cute, I guess.
Yeah, that is cute. It's funny because if it were me and we're submitting our film, this is the deadline we'd hit. I'm late to everything. So
don't be late.
If you know me, that's me. It's not the final deadline. Final deadline's still coming. So if you've got work that you're still working on and it's not quite there yet, that's okay. You got a final deadline that's happening in April. But if you have the opportunity to save some cash, send it to us by tomorrow, and you'll hit the late deadline.
Yeah. And it helps our screeners too to get those, be able to watch them early instead of getting slammed at the back end with the 1,000 films to go through. So exactly.
Okay. Well, that sounds good. Submit to us now. See these music docs and some bands in 2 weeks, and that's it for me. You got anything else, Amy?
No, I think it's a good time to say goodbye and to hit the out music, and until next month, I guess.
Yes, sir.
We'll try to do this on a monthly basis, but we'll see you then.
We'll see you then.
Adios.